Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry, and I am a blue dot in a red state utilizing Tarot to help us navigate these very interesting times we have going on here in the United States. So I really appreciate you joining me and welcome. So the focus of today's reading is going to be the Ukrainian-Russia war. Yeah, day one we were supposed to have peace, and yet here we are. We still don't have peace. And if you saw at the funeral of the Pope, there was a private moment between President Zelensky and Trump. What I love about there's a lot of things I really love about that, but the main one thing I really loved was how President Macron from France and then the Prime Minister, I believe it was the Prime Minister from the UK. I mean, they were right there with Zelensky. You know, like, we got your back. There was not going to be a repeat from what happened in the Oval Office. So that was really nice. I like that. And so, I've got an article here, according to Axios reporting, because I was curious, like, what are they saying? Like, what is Zelensky, like, is he playing up to Trump's ego? Like, how, like, and it was just really, I don't know how long the meeting, it didn't seem like it lasted very long, so it's like, what is it that Zelensky can do in this short time? And so, according to Axios reporting, Zelensky urged Trump to take a tougher line with Putin and reprioritize a ceasefire. Okay. And they had two sources that briefed Axios on that. And then, interestingly enough, on the way back on Air Force One, Trump made a rare threat to Putin in response to a massive aerial attack in Kyiv. And that's whenever, Vladimir, stop. And Trump went on to say, it makes me think that he doesn't want to stop the war, that he's just tapping me along. Okay, Trump thinks that Putin might be messing with him. I don't know why he would have who would have ever given him that idea? Oh my God, as the silent scream into the void. It's like, you think he might be playing you. Okay, so speaking of Putin, I'm just looking here through my notes that I've made. And so there's been other reporting that Putin has offered Trump this Moscow, this Trump Tower in Moscow, the Moscow Trump Tower. And when you look at like what's going on, it's like, is Trump selling out our country for a stupid tower? We'll let that set with you for a moment, because when I read that, I was just like, my hair's on fire. And so, it's like, is Trump going to side with, whoever's going to give him a tower? I mean, maybe Zelensky will be like, you could have, Trump Tower Kyiv, or, Trump Tower Moscow. Anyway, regardless of all of that, that's just one of those things that you just kind of want to scream at. So, in this peace talks, Putin isn't wanting to give up anything. And Trump is wanting Ukraine to give up everything. And Zelensky's like, no, we're not doing that. And good for him. Ukraine wants those security assurances. He has even said, we can sign the rare earth mineral deal for the United States, but we have to have security assurances. It was also being reported that Zelensky was ready to pay $50 billion to the United States for weapons. And the way the article was framed was like, that's kind of backing Trump into a corner, because he's like, well, we're not going to give you any more, charity. And Zelensky's like, okay, here's $50 billion. We'll buy weapons. So, yeah, and that's probably not going to make Putin happy either. So Trump has, we absolutely should be on the side of democracy. We are not on the side of dictators. I just want to put that out there, make that very clear. But Trump doesn't seem to have that same message. So I want to look at, are we any closer to getting a peace deal? Because I know that Trump's about ready to walk away from the whole thing. He wants that Nobel Peace Prize. He's not going to get that. And so, if he's not going to get something, he didn't want to be a part of it. He didn't care. I mean, anytime I'm watching the news and it's like, why is he doing this? And it's like, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care. So I just want to do a base reading into the peace in Ukraine, just kind of what that looks like, and kind of go from there. Some of the other questions I had coming up, depending on what comes up in that peace meeting, that in the base reading, is what does Trump think of what Zelensky is offering, and what does Trump think of what Putin is offering? Okay, so yeah, let's start with the base reading, and I'll go from there. Okay, as always, these are for entertainment purposes only, and as I'm, getting set up here and shuffling, now would be a really great time to like this video, and if you're just now joining me for the first time, the subscribe button is right there too. I really, really appreciate it. So I just want to do base reading into the energy surrounding these peace talks with Ukraine and Russia. Like, just kind of what's going on with that, the peace talks. Okay, peace talks. Something comes to an end. So the very heart of this is the ending. Okay, so I really think that if this is the heart of this, this is saying like we're coming up on peace talks. Okay, we're coming up to this war coming to an end. Death card, the death card, there's actually other cards that mean death a little bit more than the actual death card. But this is a card of just transformation. One thing has to end so a new thing can begin. This war has to end so that we can move on to, stronger Europe, world peace, however you want to frame that. This is only saying that this is going to come to an end. Okay. And Mad King Don, he really wants this. He really wants that Nobel. And yes, it's the Nobel Peace Prize, but he misspelled it on some, tweet he, trashed out, and he called it the Nobel Peace Prize. He's really wanting that, and this could be like the end of his dream. Like, he's not getting this. Okay, something's ending, and it could be, him and his dreams here. The Justice card, there is like, I was asking about this, about just base reading, and you get the Justice card, like something, a just cause. I don't know that the courts would have anything to do with this, or the Department of Justice. I mean, like, it should be the Secretary of State. I would have different cards, I think, for that than this. The fighting, it's like the bickering, the fighting, and it's like that bickering and fighting, just getting them to the table. Okay. The war card, that would be that the actual war, that would not be represented in this card. This is that bickering, going back and forth, bickering, like even just to get to the table. Okay. And trying to make everybody happy. You also know that the lower energy of this is drunk on power. And Trump is absolutely drunk on power, thinking he's going to make this great deal. And it's not coming together. Death card. There's an ending here. And the Empress, something coming to fruition. This could be, Ukraine. What is it that we want for our country? Trump making a deal that betters our country. That's, and he wants those rare earth minerals, but there's not anything here. These are real. Okay, as I'm looking at this, major arcana, major arcana, major arcana. Okay, something, like this comes to an end. Something definitely comes to an end. And let's hope that this, I'm not even going to say that. And like wanting to make deals for our country, the rare earth minerals. But I'm not seeing, like, there's not a lot of action card here. I mean, something coming to an end could be, but it's like, what is that? And the bickering, the fighting, like there's nothing here saying deals are absolutely 100% being made. Do I have, okay. So where does this go? Like, this is great that he wants all this. It's like he's got it in his mind that, oh yeah, I'm going to bring this war to an end. It's not as easy as what he thought it was. This deal making isn't what he thought it was going to be. So what's actually happening? Okay, we got a glimpse there into Don's, addled brain. What actually is happening with these peace talks? Absolutely. There's, things being worked on, and we knew that from the EU has definitely, stepped up. I kind of wonder if this right here isn't saying that Trump is going to be siding then with Ukraine. Like, is he just going to finally have it with Putin and finally, do what's right for our country? Because what's right for our country is to side with Zelensky, President Zelensky, Ukraine, and help them bring a stop to this war. So definite negotiations. What Trump is proposing for Ukraine is basically Ukraine has to give up everything and get nothing in return, and Putin gets everything and doesn't have to give up anything. So that's not going to work for the Ukrainians. So, hashing out a deal, working on that, what is it that you need and to achieve this goal? This is actually what's going. I am going to be very happily surprised if Trump just finally has had it with Putin, playing him along, and says, okay, we're going to do what needs to be done for Ukraine. Now, with Ukraine, Trump is not going to do this out of the kindness of his heart. He's not going to do it just because it's what's best for our country and Ukraine. This is like what's making, and this could actually, now that I think about it, this could be treaties. These could be like those legal deals between the countries. Do we get the rare earth mineral deal? But we also have the security, we also offer security assurances. I would be really hesitant on that because Trump doesn't, keep up with his deals. So I'm going to keep going with that. I was just surprised that this is coming up looking like we actually may, help here in this situation. I will say that whatever deals are reached, it is going to benefit Ukraine. Now, whether we're part of that or not, I'll keep doing this. Okay. So we'll see. But Ukraine is looking, President Zelensky is doing a really good job. He knows how to make these deals. He also knows he needs to placate to Trump's ego. And that could be it too. Like, let me come back here and look here for a second. To bring this to an end, placating the Mad King here, to bring the fighting to an end, making deals, what's our, for our country, and then, making the deals. I'm just looking here. Yeah, this really could be just that Zelensky is playing on Trump's ego. Like, he's figured out how to do this and to get what he wants. Well, isn't that nice? So let's just take a peek into Putin. Let's just peek into Putin there. What's going on with Putin in the Ukrainian war? It's being reported that, Putin is not in a position of strength at all, militarily or economically. I'm really surprised that Trump even, I don't even, this can't just be for a tower. I mean, surely he's not selling us out for a tower, but we'll keep going. Okay, so just what is going on with Putin? Because Putin is not in the position to win this war at all. Okay, and Putin. He's the one in charge. He's the emperor there. And he sees this moving, like he wants this moved. He sees himself as the one who is in charge. And like he's the one who's directing where this goes. This is it from his point of view. Just want to reiterate, I was asking, what is it that Putin thinks? We're looking at this from his point of view, okay? So I'll probably say that a lot. Talking, negotiating, but he wants to be the one driving it, obviously. What's going to be best for him? And this is, once again, this should be people rejoicing. I'm seeing this more as like abuse of power is going to be that lower energy. This war is not going the way he wants it to go. He's not getting what he wants. And yeah, let me come back here to the center here. Putin, trying to decide how this goes. Yeah, he's not really in a big, I am looking at these cards and he's thinking he's a much bigger deal than what he actually is in this. Who are you to be negotiating? Because you're not in a position to do that. The only reason you're in a position to negotiate is because, you've cozied up there to Putin or to Trump and have pretended to be Trump's little buddy there. And that's just not, Putin's not getting what he wants. So ultimately, and I'll just do 3 cards on this, is ultimately, is Putin going to get what he wants? See, and what Putin wants, this is a return to happier times. So this definitely is a card that falls in line with the wanting to reunite the old USSR. Okay, not just Russia, but the whole all of Eastern Europe. That's what he's wanting. He's wanting to be the one in control. He's wanting to be the emperor, the dictator there, and people rising up. Putin's not going to get what he wants. That's just, that is very clear here. Like, he wants this. He wants all of this, but he's not going to get it. Okay. People rising up, the Judgment card. So let's see. Let me pick up some of these cards and see how much closer are we to getting the a peace deal here. How close are we? And I will just say that if you watch, my channel, you watch other channels and readers, there will be some version of, as readers, we know time and tarot is just really difficult to do. But do we keep asking? Yes, we do. Every time. There'll be a timeline here. I just find it funny because we know time is difficult, but yet we ask anyway. So let me ask it this way. What are the signs that we need to look for to know that this is ending? Like what? So I'm going to ask about timing, but also like what is it that we're looking for? And I'm just going to do 3 cards on timing. And, I want those timing cards to also be like kind of like an indication of events, like things that we can be on the lookout for, that we know that that a deal is getting close to being made here. What is it that in timing that we can look for? Okay, so with that, messages, Page of Wands has always been my messenger card, unless it was related to Doge, but Doge isn't part of this. So this is going to be my messenger card. Messages of country, messages of prosperity, and really I'm going to take this to be more of Ukraine, because Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of the world. They're the ones with the rare earth minerals. They're the ones with the riches. That is one reason why Russia wants Ukraine, and that's another reason, and that is also the same reason why Trump is like, oh no, we want that. Okay, so messages related to the riches of and the wealth of Ukraine and coming together. I think that, let me just ask, and this is like, and I asked when, and this was just like, there was not like any dilly-dallying around here in the cards. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to wander or meander around. It was like message, prosperity, happy home. So message, like this message of, a deal has been made for the Ukrainians, and they are, and this has to do with the rare earth minerals. I don't know. I'll ask if they have to give up any land. I don't know. I'm not seeing that here, because I'm seeing like they're very happy with what they're getting here. So is Ukraine going to have to give up any land? And once again, I'm just going to, rapid fire these questions. 3 cards. Are they going to have to give up any land? And them giving up land, that's kind of the nitty gritty here. That's what some of the arguing's about. Mad King Don wants this war to end, and he knows that if they give up land, then it will come to an end quicker. But no, they're not going to give up land. If they, and this is kind of like this is the burden, the heavy burden, because Ukraine's been very, very clear they want Crimea back. Okay, so will a rare earth mineral deal be struck? Will we be signing that? Because with that also comes the security assurances. Okay, so will there be security assurances in exchange for rare earth minerals? I think that eventually they'll get there with that, because it's like, do you trust what Trump is offering? This is a card of, can we trust? We don't, I think that Trump will eventually get around to some kind of security. If they don't get to security assurances, they're not going to block some of the other countries offering security. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm getting here. Like, there's something of value being offered, and and I was asking about giving up land, any of their land. And it's like, no, I don't think they're going to have to. Because it's like they don't want to, something is being, new offering and moving forward. Like if they do give up land, it's because they're getting a lot in return. Like they may give up this, little thing, but they're getting like so much more over here. Um, so, let's see. Oh, rare earth minerals. Do we get a rare earth mineral deal? Laying in state. This is like, as far as, the actual deal itself, it is going to involve, I can't say, it's like I truly want to say that it's going to involve Ukraine not giving up land, but as I say that my intuition is like, that's not right. So I think that they are going to have to give up something. But if they give up land, if they give up rare earth minerals, they're getting a lot in return, like a lot. Okay. And I'm going to come back here because, we got, this is the wealthy, prosperous woman. So, country, this is Ukraine, and moving forward, I'm just going to pick up some of these as I see these, how they pair together. Moving forward in a deal, we get this deal that comes up, and that it's, so they come out ahead. With whatever it is they're having to give up, they come out ahead. Is Putin going to have a say in this? Is Putin going to be... I mean, I guess he does have a say in it if he keeps doing this, but is he going to... How's he feel about this? Messaging... A lot of big fields here. He's going to try to make this to where, and this is going to be negotiated. I usually see this also as my Ukrainian card because of the sunflowers. So, very passionate here. As far as Putin getting what he wants, you get, notice how the cards are facing. The Queen, Ukraine is facing forward. They're looking out into the future. Okay. And they're looking at their future. Okay, what is it that we want? What is going to make us happy and prosperous? What is it that we, the national pride too. Okay, and then if you pair this over here with Putin, and he's looking to the past. Okay, Ukraine is looking to the future, looking forward. Russia's looking to the past and those past emotions. So just with that, it's like Putin is coming from not a position of strength. Ukraine is definitely in a much better position. So with that, yeah, I'm going to say that expect some messaging on deals being reached. As far as time, I do think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. As I said, time in Tarot is really difficult. So with this, it's looking like, Zelensky knows how to, make deals. He knows how to do this. He is figuring out that you got to placate Trump. You got to, you got to be nice to him. You got to, the ego, if there is, if what he has to give up is a, Trump Tower Kyiv, I think that he would do that, just to placate that ego that he's got going, that Trump's got going on there, that he would absolutely do that. So, yeah, expect that. I think Zelensky's going to get more of what he wants than Putin getting what he wants. That's what's kind of coming out with this. So yeah, I'll keep watching this. I'll keep doing readings as we get a little bit closer. And so as far as time, just expect more and like serious talks, not this, Rubio's going to go over there and then leave because of whatever reason. And it's like, I never want to give Trump credit for anything because, the maggots would say because of Trump derangement syndrome, but whatever. But it looks as though Trump is going to kind of like have had it with Putin and is actually going to kind of change some of his, adjust some of his attitude when it comes to Ukraine. And that he's not going to get a Nobel Peace Prize, but he is going to not be such an impediment to the peace process. Let's put it that way. That is about as much credit as I can give him for what I'm seeing here. He's crazy. He wants all this stuff. He's not going to, Trump's not going to get, all of this stuff without giving up, some assurances. He's going to have to do that, those assurances, the security assurances. And he may not give security assurances, but he's not going to stop. Okay, that's what I mean. Like, he's not going to be the roadblock. Right now, Trump has kind of been a roadblock. That is going to become less of a roadblock as they go forward. So yeah, just look for that kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I will keep doing these readings, and I will catch you on the next one. Have a great day.